As we're closing down the year, let's think about how many times has someone or something let us down? How many times? Now, did it let us down or did it not meet our expectations? This episode, we're going to talk a little bit about expectation management. Let's begin. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Solutions Podcast. As always, your host, Ramzy. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm kind of getting into this episode of expectation management. This actually just came up from yesterday. Yesterday, I got the opportunity to go out with a friend to watch a movie. And this movie, we were both under the impression that it was going to talk about leadership, that was going to talk about tactics, that was going to talk about some very cool stuff, because the name of this movie is called Napoleon. So for those who do not know, Napoleon was one of the greatest leaders in history. He was known for his tactics, and he was able to get France to be one of the main rulers of the European countries back in the back of the day. That's who Napoleon was. So when we actually both did our research, we both went to Google, I went to YouTube, and we did our research, and it made it look like this movie was really about his tactics and all the stuff that he's done. But it wasn't. It really was not. It was a very long movie, and unfortunately, it was a very disappointing movie, at least for me. Maybe some people like it. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So why wasn't it my cup of tea? Well, again, I wanted to really look into it as far as tactics and all that stuff. He's a great mind. He still gets studied at war colleges today. He was a very great mind when it came to tactics and operations and military, mainly military operations. That's where he would shine. He made it all the way to, somehow he made it all the way to emperor. Like, he started from a captain. He went from captain to brigadier general real quick. And then from there, he actually made himself emperor, which is like the equivalent of a king. Now, the reason why I did not like this movie, because it did not highlight his great intellect. This movie went really more into all the weirdness that he might have had. And I don't know if this was the intent of the movie. I could not pick up what was the purpose of this movie. And we're not talking about weirdness. I'm talking about weirdness. Like, that he pretty much fell in love with the prostitute, married her, and she constantly cheated on him. And I just don't know what was the relevance of all that. Because it wasn't even like to teach a lesson about like, hey, maybe don't do this. No, because he stayed friends with this individual for the rest of his life, for the rest of her life, really, because she passed away a little bit before him. So, but there was no point to it. As the movie kept going and going and going, like, there really wasn't a point to this movie. It was just weird. Very, very weird and very, very disappointing. But the reason why I bring this up is that, is the movie itself disappointing, or were my expectations not met? Even though I did feel like I did my research, and so did my friend, I feel that we did look it up and everything. I just don't feel like our expectations were met. And maybe that was more on us than the movie, right? I'm not a movie maker. I'm not going to ever make a movie, I think. But I just don't feel that nothing came. There was no point to this. It was just a little bit of action, very little bit of action. I think it was like a 2.5 hour movie, and it was maybe in total 5 to 7 minutes of action throughout the whole movie. The rest was just kind of weird stuff. And yeah, it was very underwhelming. Let's just say that. It was very underwhelming. And I personally, like, I'm not a person that likes to waste time. That was 2.5 hours. I'm not a person that likes to waste time. So I was very disappointed coming out that movie. Not only that, it was with a good friend of mine that we appreciate the tactical, and we appreciate leadership, and we appreciate a higher thought of, or a higher way of thinking. That, it was just so disappointing because we don't get much time together. So to have that opportunity and just go, it was sad. But it kind of, like, after that, I was like, you know what? Why am I even upset? Like, it's their job to make movies, whoever made the movie. And the place was pretty full, so it was doing something right. But it just, I don't know. But I think the big thing that it was is I think I might have had too much expectations for it. Like, I saw a little bit of a clip, and I assumed that that's what it was going to be about. Me studying what I chose to study of that individual made me believe that that's what they were going to talk about. But that's the one thing that we always forget. And that's why I always say, when you meet your heroes, be careful, because more than likely they're going to let you down. Because you only know about them what you choose to know about them. But most of the time, when we study someone deeply and we start uncovering all their flaws, sometimes it's just too much for us to handle. And also, like I said, it all comes with part of doing your homework and what you want to get and not get from it. So I always appreciate one line from J. Cole, which it says, "Wise words from an indecent man." Which for me, I've taken that quote as in, no matter who that person is, good or bad, you can learn from them. And a lot of these leaders that either we looked up to growing up or that are well known in history, there was a lot of bad to them. There was. But I personally in my life have not met a good leader that does not have some demons inside. And sometimes I feel that that's what helps us. That's what helps us get ahead. Even to myself, I got stuff that I have deep, 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 deep down, and I try to keep it there. And maybe that's what happened. I think it was just, it was just a little heartbreaking. So that's why this episode I'm going to talk about managing our expectations. Is it their fault or is it our belief? So I want to begin with rule number 1. Do not put too much dependency on people. Do not put too much on them, because they will let you down. And why is that? Because no matter what, they're not in your head. They don't know what you believe they can do. Does that make sense? They do not know what you believe that they can do. So you might see them as a certain type of way, and it might not even be that. So don't put too much on people. Don't do that, because what's going to happen is going to tear your vision of that individual. Sometimes we forget that. Hell, sometimes we do that in our own relationships. We just assume our person is going to know. And sometimes we want them to know, or sometimes they should know. I'm kidding. But then what happens is there's lack of communication there, and conflicts arise. So when you meet your heroes, and when you meet these people that you feel are up there, and you think they're going to do something great, and they just do something average, and you just let down. But realistically, what they did is still great. You just thought it would be greater. But sometimes we forget that in this day and age of mediocrity, like, all we have to do is put 1% more than the average person, and we can achieve a lot more things. Because now it's too easy to be lazy. It is way too easy to be lazy. There's so many outlets. I think 50 Cent says it a lot, and other people say it a lot, is that depression is a luxury. And I tend to agree with that. Because when you got goals to meet, and when you're not where you want to be, how can you be depressed. You should be setting that line, that finish line, and going towards it and just be laser focused on it. Just laser focus on it, going straight for it. And you don't have time to be depressed. If you have goals in your life, you don't have time to be down. So I agree with him. Depression is a luxury, or can be. Now, will you ever feel down? Of course. Like, is life gonna punch you in the mouth? It is. And it should. But that's what builds some calluses, and that's what builds that mental toughness, and that's what we need to look forward to. Jocko Willink says it, and I've said it in multiple episodes. Good. Something bad happened? Good. Gives me time to be better. Gives me an opportunity to learn more. Gives me an opportunity to try it again and outperform my peers, or outperform even myself, because sometimes we are our most difficult adversary. Question number 2 should be, are we willing to accept their demons? Are we? No one of great success is perfect. Nowhere in history has anyone been perfect. If you really think about the greatest leaders and emperors and all these people that have gone through it, they probably done some really bad things. And in order to do those bad things or those difficult things, you gotta have those demons. So are you going to accept your hero with those demons as well? Are you going to acknowledge that they're even there? We want to give them this halo effect, like they're just everything. But we also got to understand that in order to be light, there's got to be darkness. Next question that you should ask yourself is, are we the best version of ourselves? Are we? Are we able to say, hey, I can judge this guy because I'm better? More than likely, the answer is no. Right? Like, how can we be disappointed in someone that we cannot outperform? Yes, they might not be able to do that thing that you thought they could, but if we can outperform them either, who are we to judge? There's a saying, you shouldn't cast stones if you live in a glass house. Same concept. Like, we got to be understanding. We want people to be understanding of us when we can't perform or when we underperform. We need to be understanding of the people that we have higher expectations for. And that's not saying do not keep them accountable for all the negative stuff that they might or might not have done. What I'm saying is, we need to understand, okay, how did we get there? Every decision starts with a thought process. How did we get there? Was it with good intentions? Was it with bad intentions? Was it for selfish intentions? Was it for legacy intentions? Whatever it is, we got to understand. But I can guarantee you the reason was not to please us. That's why I talk about expectation management. We got to be ready to get disappointed and be okay and smile with it. Why not? Now let's start looking into ourselves. We're wrapping up the year 2023. Some people had a really good 2023, right? We got past that pandemic. The world started to go as normal as it could be and all that stuff. Some people made money. Some people changed careers. That's awesome. We're wrapping up the year, getting on to 2024. And most people, and I like it. One thing about me is I love the new year. I love the new year because it gives people the opportunity to try to change for the better. Why people wait for the new year? I don't know, but I like it. There's something about closing a chapter and starting a new one, like a book, that is just amazing. So one thing that I want to emphasize is start today. Start today, yes. Especially if you're Hispanic, right? You're going to be eating some very good food, tamales and all kinds of stuff, but all across the U.S. and all countries, people are eating and celebrating. But let's be honest, if you're not putting in that work, do you deserve to celebrate? One thing that I learned through Sapper School is one saying that they always used to say, and that stuck with me, was earn your sleep. Earn your sleep. Did you earn your sleep? Now, don't get me wrong, they never felt like we did, so we slept very little. But the point is that you want to play hard, but you gotta work hard as well. So this time, okay, maybe you're gonna be off your diet a little bit, but go for a fucking sprint, man. Go for that sprint. Okay, you might not have the 45 to an hour and a half to work out, but guess what? If you give it all for those 10 minutes, sprint, push-ups, everything, just 10 minutes, I guarantee you feel way better in yourself than getting towards the end of these holidays feeling slow, sluggish. Yep. Feeling like you've just kind of fell off the wagon. Like, start today. And if it's not something physical, start annotating your goals. Start annotating them. Okay, what do I want to accomplish? And start making a timeline. Start making a backwards plan. Get to the end state. What is your end state? Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to make this amount of money. Now, is my job going to allow me to make that kind of money? Yes or no? Okay, so now I start looking into what type of employment makes that kind of money. Okay, cool. What are the prerequisites? Okay, cool. What do I got to do to start checking those blocks on those prerequisites to get to where I want to get to? Because you can't say this will never happen if you never started. You need to begin. Everybody talks about that. Someday I'll start. But I always tell people, someday is not a day in the calendar. There's Sunday, there's Monday, but there's no someday. Someday does not exist. That's not a day of the week. So you can start today. You can say, you know what? I'm going to take 15 minutes, go online, and research what I want to do. I'm going to take 20 minutes, go online, and learn about what I want to learn about. What's going to get me to my end state? I'm telling you, when I am not engaged with work, like I really want to make this podcast grow. And all I do is I research, okay, how can I make it grow? How can I make it grow? How can I reach more people? And I try to do that. And it might work and it might not. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was asking me about how much, what am I doing, or what's the numbers on it. And right now I'm averaging about 100 to 200 plays per episode, which, based on what we see from like influencers or all that stuff, is like, oh man, that's nothing. But how I see it is like, that's 100 to 200 people that are listening to something they would have never listened to in the past. So first of all, thank y'all. Second of all is like, that's 200 people that I reached per episode. And if I reach 50, then I reached 50. Reached 50. Yes, I'm sorry. But that is one of those things. I just want to grow it and grow it and grow it, just to give good lessons to people and just to help out. Why not? But this holiday season, don't let it slow you down, or don't let it get you off track. Like, don't make excuses, right? Especially if you're listening to this. Again, I always say it's not the excuses podcast, it's the solutions podcast. Let's have fun, but let's find a way where we can be productive while having that fun. And that's what I said. You want to continue working out? You still want to continue your journey? Hell, just raise up that intensity. Go hard for 30 minutes instead of doing that hour and a half. Trust me, you will feel it. You will feel it. Back in the day, the Army used to have the APFT, where you used to do 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and 2-mile run. Now, you should be able to get that under 30 minutes. Most people should. You could. Okay, you could. But when you Like I said, when you're doing those 2 minutes of push-ups, all of a sudden 2 minutes seem very, very, very long. Now imagine sprinting for a minute. Most people, after the age of like 22, they never sprint a day in their life. Go out there and get it. Just get that sprint. Trust me, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better. So don't let the holiday season slow you down from making what you want out of yourself. Don't let it. Yes, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things to have fun with. But hey, take those 10 minutes for yourself to better yourself. If it's not physically, it's mentally, it's study. And again, New Year's right around the corner. Start writing your plan today so you can start on New Year's. Don't start your plan. Don't start writing and formulating your ideas when it comes to New Year's. Write that shit down. Write it down. Write it down to the point where it's like, okay, you have a step-by-step on how you're going to make this goal happen. It doesn't have to be a great goal. It does not have to be a great goal. You can say, I want to lose 15 pounds for the year. Right? How many of y'all have not kept the same weight for years, if not gone up, and not in the positive way? Right? So if you say, throughout a whole year, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. How am I going to do it? What am I going to change for my daily lifestyle that's actually doable? I always tell people about diets. It's like you got to be very, 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 very careful with a diet. Because if it's not realistic, it's not sustainable, you're going to break it. You're going to break it. Like, the best thing that you can do when it comes to losing weight and when it comes to a diet is just eat what's good, but eat in portions, and don't engage yourself in the snacks and the sweets and all that stuff. It's just do a diet that's actually sustainable so you won't break it, so it becomes a lifestyle. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Don't get into these fad diets because you're going to break them. And then guess what? You're going to finish like a 30-day or 90-day diet, and then what? You're going to go back to eating the same crap. And then everything you just gain as far as success is going to go away. But if you start making micro changes, and you could write those down, it's like, okay, for this week, I'm going to remove soda and see how I feel. If you drink soda, right? Or whatever you feel is bad, right? And see how that's the only change I'm going to make. I'm still going to do everything else the same, but that's the only change I'm going to make is I'm going to make sure I'm not touching a single soda. Cool. You get through that week. Can you do this? Yes or no? Okay. You cannot. Let's say you cannot. Let's say you're an addict, scratching your neck. Add a one cheat day a week. And that's it. Okay. But now you're saying, okay, now the only thing I'm going to drink is juice and water. Now maybe with that, the juice can help you with those cravings of the sweets. So there's ways to do it, and do it in moderations. But think about it, in 3 months, in 6 months, you really could change your whole life with just doing little bit of changes each week. You can change your whole life in that much, in 6 months. People don't think about it. We always think about like, oh man, our goal is like this big. And then we don't think about like, hey, these little victories that we get every single day, these opportunities that we get every single day to make ourselves better, we forget about them. It's no bueno, no good. As I'm saying, start with baby steps, but write it down and start today. If not today, start tomorrow. Give yourself the greatest gift for Christmas, which is respect for yourself and your value and your goals and your achievements. But I must say it is nice to be back. So I've been traveling all over the place. As I mentioned before, I'm currently doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing at my age, to be honest. But I'm still doing it, and you're welcome, right? So I've been trying a lot, but it's really nice to be back and be able to get behind the camera, be able to get behind the microphone, and be able to make another episode. And I'm telling you, so let's go a little bit about what's coming. So I got a good friend coming on to the next episode, and he's going to be talking about how to utilize. This is going to be more geared towards military members and veterans, and he's going to be talking about how to utilize your benefits to break the what they call the matrix. But because in the military we have that matrix too, we feel like we have to do this and we're never going to find an exit. So we got that individual that's going to come on the show and school us on how to improve in that aspect. He calls it military millionaire. Hey, we're going to find out. Maybe some of us will become millionaires after his talks and stuff. I know a lot of people either serve or know people that have served and can really benefit from that information. So I wanted to make sure I get them on the show. And the other one is going to be a person that she's going to talk about military spouse benefits. And she's on it. And she's like she every single day I know she's posting and she's putting out good information. And when we do the episode, we make sure we tag her and get all her social media so everybody's tracking all the information that both these great people are doing. I'm also looking for other people to interview. So if you are interested, or you know somebody that might be interested or that is interesting, please have them reach out to me, or you yourself reach out to me, and we'll make it happen. My goal is to find solutions to problems that people didn't even know they had. So somebody might not even know that they want to go into real estate, and after listening to that episode, they're like, hey, I got these benefits. I never thought of using them. Now they might be able to benefit. And because of your ability to pass this episode to them, or that episode to them, now you just made your friend more wealthy. Same thing with the spouse program. Like, there's so many programs that we don't even know exist. And you might have a friend that's a spouse, or you might become a spouse one day, male or female. We don't discriminate, right? And you can use these benefits. And that's what I'm saying. And there's so many programs. There's so much money out there that just gets left unused. And these two individuals are going to help me help you learn about these things. So we got some good things coming up. And of course, we're going to have some other amazing guests and some more surprise appearances, maybe some old ones as well. We want to make sure that we're getting the best value for your time, because I believe everybody's time is precious. I don't believe in wasting anybody's time. So anybody that's listening, I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you, and appreciate you taking the time. Now, as I always say, please try to follow the social media pages to stay in tune when the next episode is coming out. Again, it's The Solutions Podcast on most platforms. You should be able to find it. But please, and help share, like, comment, give me feedback. Hey, if I suck, I suck. Let me know so I can change it. I don't think so, but it'll hurt a little bit, but a little hurt is good. So it reminds me that I still have feelings, okay? Well, with that being said, I'm closing out this episode. This was episode 1 of season 2. And this is just, like I said, just for fun, just to get back into the groove of things. Now that I got a little bit of stability, I want to put it out there. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And I am out.